Hi guys, happy Friday. I hope you're having a bright and sunny Friday because my side of town is raining. Today we're taking a break from talking about sales and we want to address some questions I've been getting regarding sales. Now I know a lot of you have sent me a lot of questions, but I've chosen two and I'm hoping in addressing these questions, people would also take some things out of it. So question number one from Vivian. Vivian wants to know how she can manage issues with accountability, especially when it's causing transactional risk in her sales process with a client. Now, Vivian, I'm going to answer that question from two points of view, when that issue is coming from internally within your organization and when it's also external from the client's end. If you are having accountability issues internally, it's likely because one of these reasons, it could be any other or more, when the roles are not clear. Two, when there are limited resources, because most times in actually going through that deal process, the salesperson, even though they're in charge and are driving the process, they're inviting other stakeholders internally to support, like the legal team, operations team, technical, project, depending on how you refer them in your organization. So when there's a limited resources, it can be a problem. There's nobody from the legal team to look at the client's NDA to follow through. There's nobody maybe from pre-sales or technical helping you jump on that call to answer questions regarding integration or that demo, or to work on the scope and redefine it with the client, the technical scope, as well as when you have a poor strategy, if you haven't really put out a plan and all the stakeholders you require and how you're going to execute that deal, that can be a problem because you will not be able to communicate well ahead to your stakeholders. And when you have unrealistic goals, that can be an issue. So if it's any of these issues, maybe you could first start by trying to address it. But what you could also do when you're continuously having this issue, one, never gets tired of, and it's not, you can never be tired of communicating, over communicating. Like it could be emails and meetings, whatever. You layer the communication, you call your stakeholders, you send those emails. But also, one of the key things you do as part of the communication is to define who those stakeholders are. I remember in my past life as an individual contributor years ago, one of the things we used to do is what we call like a role deliverable matrix, and make sure that all parties in the in that stakeholder chain are aware of what their role will be in this process and what deliverable you're expecting from them. Am I expecting you to deliver this document by this? Am I expecting you to follow up with the client and conclude that NDA signing? Am I expecting you to join me on the technical solution call with the client? So if you have that, it's a good thing that you communicated. And one thing I'm going to say is finally, have a call to action when you communicate. Just don't send those emails, oh, I discussed with the client or the client. Have a call to action. Next step, legal will please do this by this. Next step, I would like you to do always have a call to action so people that are reading their emails are clear what you're expecting them to do. What you could, so the second part is when it's external, and when it's external is a bit dicey. All this applies, but normally these applies, and when they don't work is when you go directly to the stakeholders and have those tough conversations. You want to engage, confront, and know what the issues are. I've been sending these emails and these are your roles and whatever. I would like to hear from you because I noticed that you have not been responding and you have not been meeting the deadlines. What is the challenge and how can I help? You normally would confront. Now, internally it's easy when you do that. I would say do that before you escalate. And the person doesn't respond, you would escalate to their line manager, whoever is up above them. Externally with the client, that's where it becomes tricky, especially if that deal is key. That deal is, or the stakeholder is very key to you. You want to tread carefully. That's where your soft skill is. I would say appeal to their conscience and have that conversation. And if you've had it like once or twice and you're not getting any joy, try and involve other parties. That is when you take it up. And especially try to document it so that it's not like you share, he said, she said. You send that email nicely, trying to ask them to help deliver on what they're meant to deliver on. Now I'm going to talk about the second question I received, and second question was from Shemu. Shemu wanted to know what he could do to relaunch his sales career. I think it's at that point where he's thinking of relaunching it. Shemu, there is no right or wrong, but I'm going to give you some key tips that can help you. You are never too old to relaunch. You're never too old to start again. It's normally half how well you do these things. No matter, even though it takes time, everybody's journey is different. I'll say first thing, can you clearly define your goal or vision, how you see this next phase? What are you now trying to achieve? Do you have a role in mind, organizations you like to work in mind? Maybe you could define it. I don't know, you can do like a vision map, if that would help you, if you can't articulate it by writing it. Then you should start thinking about, for those roles, organization, what are the skill sets? Go to LinkedIn, see for those roles they are recruiting, what are the skill sets they're asking for. That's a lot of research required. Thirdly, I would say you do a SWOT on yourself. There's so many ways to do the SWOT. Talk to people, people that are close to you, do assessments online. But when you do that, you start to identify where the gaps are for you, because then you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses, and for that role you can identify what the gaps are. That's when you go to the third step and defining your plan on how you're going to upskill yourself to bridge that gap. As part of that third step, I would say try and get a mentor if you can. It's really helpful. An accountability partner. Those are things that will put you in place and also guide you in acquiring the knowledge. And that's why you start to invest in yourself. Are you going to read, subscribe for courses? It is never like acquiring that knowledge. I don't think it never gets old to keep learning. It really sets you apart. You're never too experienced that you know it all. Finally, one tip I'll say, network back into those organizations. Try and get to reach out to people, have coffee chats, intro calls, meet them, people that are working in those organizations, or have those types of roles that you would like to apply for. Because as you're trying to understand what it takes to do that, what it takes to work in that climate, what is the definition of success, so that you understand how best you can also, if you're so keen, prepare yourself for those roles. And when you network, also one of the things that will benefit you from that is the fact that it gives you visibility. So they start to know you. If a role comes and they remember, oh, Shema has been talking to me about this and interest to work this. I'll send him this link and see if he's interested. I hope this helps, and I hope to those of you listening, this helps. So today was Friday, Sales Questions with Jane. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Bye.